Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike here at Game From Scratch, and I think today's story is going to be like the first of many. Now, I'm not going to cover all of them on this channel because otherwise the channel just becomes about that. And what we're talking about, first off, is game industry layoffs. Now, I'm not going to talk about that very much because, quite frankly, if I did that, that would literally be all Game From Scratch was about. We have had a bit of a bloodbath lately when it comes to the game industry and layoffs across the board. Now, the most recent round of them, though, came via Microsoft. So Microsoft across their gaming divisions just cut over 9,000 jobs. That is absolutely an insane number. Keep in mind, Microsoft recently acquired a number of studios, including, of course, Activision Blizzard King, which is relevant to today's discussion. Now, obviously, Microsoft had a terrible financial year, so they had to cut 9,000 jobs in their gaming division, right? Let's see. Microsoft's net income for 12 months ending March 31st was $96 billion, a 12.13% increase year over what? Yeah. So what we've got here, I believe the word is corporate greed. So yeah, there's just more stories about corporations being evil. Nothing new there. But what we're talking about specifically, though, is King. King is part of that Activision Blizzard King acquisition that Microsoft recently pulled off. And King's actually been a strong, profitable company for a very long time. Most famously known for Candy Crush, but they've actually had a number of articles recently about some of the technology that they've been working on, which, spoiler alert, are very relevant to the conversation today. And we see here how King is using AI to make Candy Crush Saga even stickier. And this was back in 2023, a little bit before the hype for AI really hit critical mass. And it's basically their CTO, Steve Collins, talking about things that are going on in the world of AI. So he was the man in charge of all things tech and AI at King, and they're using AI internally at King for a number of tasks. So most of our roles in our organization will be improved with these technologies. Just like any new technology that comes in, new tools will make jobs easier or take away some of the more mundane or repetitive parts. I ask engineers how much time they actually spend doing something they consider to be creative, and they say about 15 to 20% of the time. I'd love that to be 100% of what they do. Spoiler alert, it doesn't quite turn out that way. A little bit more going on about it here, but I found the part that was also really interesting here was this final comment here. We spoke to Collins before the completion of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which of course now includes King. Now, as part of Microsoft, a company that has made huge investments in AI recently, Collins will have even more resources and tech to play with. So that is their CTO and head of all things AI at King talking about it back in 2023. Then we move on, again, mobilegamer.biz reporting once again. We are now in spring of 2024, and you'll now notice there is a director of AI labs. And now she is talking about the use of AI. So they've been using it. So she's been director at Candy Crush for 5 years, and that time AI use has exploded. And she gave a talk at GDC about how Candy Crush Saga Maker is using it for automating level management. Spoiler alert, that's very relevant in just a second. But some insights here. Before we release a level, we let the bots play with that level, and we get insights. Are there any shuffles? How difficult was this level? Are there any more metrics that give designers an insight into the gameplay? We run thousands of times so we have good accuracy. Then the designers decide if that is an intended experience that they want, yes or no. And they go back and refine the level. We have also built a tool on top of this, playtesting, that does automatic tweaking by the AI. But again, the tweaking is an assistive tool where the designer determines the criteria for what is a good tweak or refinement for each level. It is an assistive tool, right? Bueller. Consider it like Copilot for coding, but this is for Copilot for designing. Spoiler alert, the Copilot kind of graduates in this story and becomes just Pilot. So they say the more that King designers, so this is the ominous part, says the more that King designers use their AI Copilot, the better the tech gets, and could lead to the kind of prompt-based approach at some point in the future. If we go a few steps ahead in the future, a designer can say, I want this type of experience, this type of level. And that this is an initial sketch of the level. Then we iterate on that. We do playtesting. We score under the hood and come up with some suggestions for the designer. The designer can spend time on refining the experience. but they are careful not to let it run amok. There's a process of resolving instances where the AI suggests something the designer wants to overrule. If we say, here's the tweak, this is the best one to make, designers can explain the reason why this is not what they want to release by designers annotating and saying, this is a good example, or this is a bad example. The system is automatically updated, and over time, it learns by itself. Yeah, so basically, their level designers have been training this AI for a couple of years now. So that is kind of where we start off. This was, again, 2024 article, following up on the 2023 article about AI at King. And now we've had Microsoft layoffs, and now the story comes back again. Once again, mobilegamer.biz reporting here. This is July 14th after the layoffs at King, and again, across Microsoft in general. And what do we got going on now? Well, multiple sources giving us an insight into what happened at Candy Crush maker King as it prepares to cut 200 staff. And the most relevant part of this story, and why I just read those last two, is this first bullet point. Many of the staff cut will effectively be replaced by the AI tools they built and trained. This is going to happen more and more and more and more. And if you're at one of these companies that right now you're like, no, this is to assist you. Assistive tools. This is just an assistive tool. Essentially, eventually, if the training goes well, it's a replacement. Just let yourself be aware of that. So that's why we've got the thumbnail. They took our jobs, back to the whole South Park thing. It's just, in this case, it's AI that's doing it, not otherwise. Now, it also sounds like King is just a horrible place to work, at least as it's being depicted here. So they've got more going on. The Farm Saga Heroes in London is being cut in half. That team, about 50 people leaving, including key leadership. One staffer claims employees are being targeted for expressing dissatisfaction internally. Basically, morale is already in the gutter, and I can probably explain why in just a second. And that it's going to do a new org chart in September after union negotiations. So the number was later confirmed by our sources, 200 people being cut. Told us cuts were mostly in middle management and UX and narrative copywriting. These are the two areas it seems that most people are getting hit. So here we can see we've since been told more detail. Many level design and user research staff, plus practically half of the Farm Hero Saga team, are being made redundant. The cuts will affect around 50 people on that. Again, repetition there. We were told games leadership put on gardening leave. That's got to be a UK term. I've never heard that in my life. And here is the letter that they have sent out. Why is this happening? The industry is changing fast and our business has not been growing. When that happens, we must not only look outside at competitors and the market, but also inside. We've talked about this before, but we are making several changes to get the business back to growth. Unlocking many more AI tools is one recent example. Investing more in marketing this year is another. We're fortunate to have many talented individuals at King, but we also have a collective problem. The size and structure of the company often makes it difficult to get things done. So we plan to simplify this part. All just sounds like amazing buzzword people. People want to have less meetings and smaller org charts and so on. And that's what they're talking about. We plan to simplify the organization. Fewer layers, fewer overlapping remits, fewer hours spent on alignment, fewer people in meetings, fewer stakeholders. Okay, there we go. And who's going to make these decisions? Oh, well, look, it's the leadership teams. So yeah, they're in charge of collapsing and getting rid of the people below them. So yeah, I can start to understand why there might be some morale issues there. And then basically they go on to say overall King will be a smaller company when this is done. So Microsoft's record profits last year apparently were not sufficient to keep things going. So a bit more going on here. Many level designers, user research staff, plus UX and narrative writers have been told they were at risk, and particularly the staff has spent the last few years building and training AI tools to do their jobs. They are now effectively being replaced, says sources. Most of the level design has been wiped, which is crazy since they have spent months building tools to craft levels quicker. Now those tools are basically replacing the teams. Similarly, the copywriting team is completely removing people since we now have AI tools that those individuals have been creating. So yeah. And then the fact that AI tools are replacing people is absolutely disgusting, but it is all about efficiency and profits, even though the company is doing great overall. If we're introducing more feedback loops, then it's crazy to remove the developers themselves. We need more hands and less leadership. So we seem to have a bit of a mismatch. This is from the staff perspective of we're too bloated at the top. And then we got these people basically saying we need to have a smaller org and we'll let the bloated layer at the top make the decisions. So that's where we're at. And part of why morale might be actually awful at King is they're literally referred to as candy. Oh, I would quit on the spot. Not really much more said there. Basically, they sent this Slack letter out to everybody that didn't get fired. Those are always wonderful. It's like, if you make it to the end of the day, hey, you're one of the safe ones. So, again, it's another one of those stories about mass layoffs going on. And you know what? It's kind of disgusting that Microsoft has done these level of layoffs while having that level of profitability. But, hey, evil mega corporations doing evil mega corporation things, nothing new there. But the part that is really astonishing here, and again, you saw it coming. You could see it coming with these articles. Like here, we talk about their initial forays into AI. Here, we talk about how they're assistive tools, and every time the designer uses it, they get a little smarter and a little smarter and a little smarter. And then finally here, and then they took our jobs, and AI is coming for you, South Park style. And that's where we're at. And again, this is like a he said, she said story. So we're hearing it from the perspective of the people that work at King. But normally when it comes down to it, I trust the employees more than anybody else. And if they're literally had people training AI to do their jobs, and now that the AI is good, that's the low-hanging fruit to go ahead and get rid of those people. Yeah, that's a thing. And then you know what? There's nothing new about this. I actually saw this in the past. I worked for the guy who was in charge of like the build systems, and this guy was like brilliant, and he was lazy, and he basically automated his entire job. He built all of these like Python scripts to handle the builds, to automatically do the backups, to do deployments, to do everything. He masterfully scripted everything. And then the management found out about this and went, oh, wait a minute. We don't need him anymore. We have all of these scripts that he's created. We'll get rid of him. And that worked wonderfully. Well, until something changed and they had to update these like 40,000 lines of Python that this person had written to do the job. Then all of a sudden they found out, oh, wait a minute, he was actually kind of important. Well, now we've got Candy Crush out there being designed by AI, and the people that train that AI to be what it is, they're not there anymore. And I actually already kind of find that in mobile space, these games already feel samey enough. Having AI taking the reins more and more, it's just going to get worse, in my opinion. So anyways, that is the story. It's a direct canary in a coal mine story of, game developers basically working on these AI tools to help assist them, getting them to the point where they were working very well, having some perceived financial difficulty, even though Microsoft are making record profits, layoffs, and the people that trained AI, well, they're the first to go. Let me know what you think. Comments down below. I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.